Hello, students, and welcome to another spooky episode of Coach Stroud's What to Read While Quarantined. In this episode, episode 18, I'm going to share with you a kind of a special book for me. It was my very first book I ever read, written by Stephen King, and that book was dun, 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 Cell. Ooh. Now, some of you might be thinking to yourself, Cell, that's not a Stephen King book I've really heard a whole lot about. And you'd be right, it's not one of his more generally well-received or popular books. But I'm sharing this one with you for two reasons. One, because my parents sent it to me while I was in Iraq. I had written them home and asked them to send me any kind of books that they could, or movies and DVDs. And they picked this one up for me. This book was published in 2006. And they mailed it to me, and it being the first King book I ever read, it really got me interested in reading more of his work. Now, of course, I've seen a good bit of Stephen King's movies, but reading, for some reason, I never got around to reading his stuff until this time. But Cell is actually a very interesting story. King got the idea basically by watching people and seeing what they were doing in their lives. Now, what does everybody pretty much have in their possession at all times? A cell phone, exactly. So King was thinking about, okay, if you could reach a group of people or transmit a disease or something, a pulse, to people to turn them into these vicious killers, these violent animals, what's a way that you could do that to where you could infect a ton of people all at one time? Stephen King came up with Cell, the premise of the story. So basically what happens is the story surrounds a man named Clayton Riddle, and he's a struggling artist. He's an art teacher who wants to make comic books for a living. He finally gets that big deal. He signs a contract, and things are finally looking up for him. His wife, who pretty much is, really mad at him and his career choices and stuff, he's finally going to be able to support her and their son, Johnny. But what happens all of a sudden is that out of nowhere, this pulse goes out through the world. And if people pick up their phone and answer it when their phone rings all of a sudden, they get jolted with that pulse, and all of a sudden, these people become violent individuals who are almost zombie-like in a way. It's a really interesting premise. I have another copy of the book here. This is the hardback version. You could see the cover there. It's kind of gruesome and gross. It's pretty cool, actually. So again, this was my original one, which is definitely the more tamer cover of the two. But what's also really interesting is Stephen King used this story as a chance to give back to charity. Now, what he ended up doing is he auctioned off on eBay the chance for you to be a character in his book. A lady had the winning bid. She paid $25,000 to get the naming rights to a character, and she gave the honor to her brother. His name is Ray Huizenga, who appears as a really cool character in this book. He is a very selfless man. He's kind of hard, rough around the edges, construction worker guy, but he commits a very selfless act in the story, and it's really, really awesome to see what King did with the name that was given to him for this character. Now, that money did go to charity, which was also really, really cool at the same time. So, basically, if you're liking books that have horror tones to them, something crazy going on, creating a pandemic, kind of like what we're in right now, and also are kind of close to home with being an item that creates this pandemic through items that we all use every day. In fact, what I'm filming this video on right now, that's Stephen King's Cell, and it's a great story. It's spooky, definitely, but good read, good story, highly recommend it. I don't know why it's not more popular of the King titles. There was a movie that came out with about Cell, and it was awful, so I would not recommend that at all. But the book, very good. Check your libraries. They can do curbside drop-offs. And also look on Amazon or go on eBay. Y'all caught the joke there about eBay because Stephen King's did the thing on eBay. Yeah. You guys get it. All right, guys. I just want to let you know that I'm loving you guys. I'm missing you, and I really hope I get to see some of y'all again soon. Keep me posted on how things are going, and I look forward to one day us getting to talk books again in person, face to face. Until next time, see ya.